Today we're going to be talking about Plato's Timaeus. This is a very important work by Plato. One would call it a dialogue, I suspect. It's certainly always part of the dialogues. However, it's not filled with this back and forth movement that many of the dialogues are. Well, to the basics of the Timaeus, Plato looks to the world and sees order and beauty in the universe. So, what is the best explanation of order and the beauty in the universe? Well, of course, we're now at a point where we find that the best explanation of this is a Big Bang that happened about 15 billion years ago that brought about material conditions that after billions and billions of years brought about life, that after millions of years of that brought about a situation where a being could arise that could understand beauty and see order in the universe. That's our explanation today. This seemed counterintuitive for Plato. He really didn't work as a naturalist here. He didn't see that the best explanation of the universe with beauty and order would be that it was produced by something without beauty and order. So he thought that the best explanation for a universe with beauty and order was that it was purposely produced by a rational, beneficent being. So, of course, Christian theologians reading the Timaeus later on certainly thought, well, boy, this guy's got it. We like Plato, at least some of it. He called this purposeful being the Demiurge, Demiurgus. He's a divine craftsman. Okay, he works on a pre-existent chaos. He imitates in creation an unchanging eternal world, so he's the mediary between the matter and the forms, and he then imposes mathematical order to bring an ordered universe out of disorder. Right? This ordering is teleological, that is, it's purposeful, and what we mean by purposeful, of course, is that the universe and its parts are arranged to produce good effects. The Demiurge uses nous, intellect, right, to make a universe that is as excellent as possible. Now, of course, human beings have souls, according to Plato. We are souls. We're souls in a body. And the universe is then a model for rational souls to understand and emulate. Now there you got the soul there. It's the classic image of Plato, right? I got the mind and the body. You got your upper nature, reason, and then lower nature, of course, the appetite. And the soul is always has to govern these. Is he going to go by the horse of reason or the horse of appetite? So the soul, of course, for Plato, he had a tripartite soul. Might as well put it up here. Reason on top, and then the spirited aspect, and then down below the appetite. And some of you have probably heard of Plato's state, right? His ideal state would be much like here with the soul. The ideal soul, or the just soul, is one that reason is in control, utilizing the spirit to control the appetite. So in a good state, the governors, which are philosopher kings, are in control using the police to keep a lid on the id of the rabble-rousers, which is everybody else who running around wanting to eat and stuff. They want to run around, want to eat and have sex, but they have to be controlled. And at the top there is the philosopher king, the guardian. Now there's a controversy about the Timaeus fancy that. There could be a controversy about Plato's studies. And if you know much about New Testament scholarship, you'll know that many people, most people, believe that John was written at the end, that that's the oldest gospel, but there is some who will argue that it's an early gospel. In the same way here, we have most believing that the Timaeus is a late writing, although one of the great scholars of Greek philosophy, Owens, argued that it was written in Plato's middle period. He thought it was prior to the Theaetetus and the Parmenides because he believed that what it stated, the Timaeus, were positions that were refuted in the Theaetetus and the Parmenides. So it must be earlier than them. Now, he had a certain interpretation of the work which allowed him to say this. In 1957, H.F. Czernus defended the traditional view against Owens, quite with a lot of rancor, actually. The two duked it out in print, I guess. But Czernus's view and the traditional view seems to be dominant today because of the work in the late 19th century on stylometrics and philology seemed to support the view that he was writing in a style and the use of words more like his later period. And of course, now newer computer models back that up. So we're kind of at the point now, again, where it's considered to be a late dialogue. Well, forms and cosmos. There's a world of forms. That's a world of being. And of course, he says that in this world of being, there is no becoming nor change. And this world of being is apprehended by the understanding, not the senses. So that's the world of the forms. And then there's the cosmos, the physical world. It's lower than the forms, of course. It's a mere physical world. It's a world of becoming. It comes to be and passes away. It never really is. And it says 28a, this is the way we normally, refer to Plato's critical edition. Anyway, it's apprehended by opinion, doxe, and not episteme, and the senses. And the forms are used in the becoming of the cosmos. Now, according to Gregory Vlastos, the great Plato scholar, and my Plato teacher in graduate school was a student of Vlastos, the Demiurge is more a manual laborer than a divine ruler. He's more like a craftsman. This is interesting, that the Demiurge is not seen as in the noble class, but seen as a craftsman, more like an artist, but not an artist coming up with new things exactly, but rather an artist like a guy that makes good leather work. You know, you have a pre-existing form and you keep running that work over and over again. You keep producing leather works according to the form you have clearly in mind. A great potterer would be of that type. So the Demiurge is an artist of that kind, imposing pre-existent form on the existing world. Now, there are elements in the world: fire, air, water, and earth. The physical world has a bodily form. It's visible, it's tangible. It includes earth and fire, but it also includes other ingredients that combine with earth and fire. And these are, surprise, surprise, air and water. Are you thinking Empedocles? I hope everyone out there is thinking Empedocles, right? And so fire is to air as air is to water, so air is the intermediary between fire and water. And air is to water as water is to earth, so water is the intermediary between air and earth. And these four elements are themselves composed of geometrical shapes, and we're going to see how that works out. The cosmos, according to the Timaeus, is a living being that emulates the form of living being. This living being that the cosmos is unique because the form of living being is unique. It has a soul because it lives. World soul. Now, some of you who have studied Neoplatonic thought know that the world soul becomes very important in the academy in Neoplatonic thought, Middle Platonism, and later Platonism. It becomes important for Christian tradition as well. It is spherical, so this living being that has a soul, and everything that lives has a soul by definition. This living being that lives is spherical because, of course, a sphere is a perfect shape. So you just take my word for that. It's temporal. It's not eternal. And indeed, this timed thing, this temporal thing, is tied into the motion of the celestial bodies. And here we have this wonderful phrase, 37d in the Timaeus. The Demiurge began to think of making a moving image of eternity. At the same time as he brought order to the universe, he would make an eternal image, moving according to number of eternity, remaining in unity. This is, of course, what we call time. Now, whenever philosophers say, of course, then you need to think twice. This, of course, is what we call time. Of course it is. Now, of course, the critical question is, what does that this in the last sentence refer to? If you believe that it refers to the image, then the movement itself seems to be time. If you don't believe that it refers to image, then you might hold that this whole phrase is talking about time being the number measuring movement rather than the movement itself. Now, I'm sure most of you are worried about this every day, and you're like me. Aristotle, of course, thought the latter, right? He said that the number measuring motion is time. But it seems as if Plato here might be saying that movement itself is time. Now, we can get into the philosophy of time, but this certainly does take a definite position in the philosophy of time. Okay, I'll be right back with you with issues in the Timaeus.